What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode number 79 of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. And this is episode 2 of me recording in the shop, Murph's Card Town and Sports Shop. Unfortunately, we are not open yet. Hopefully very soon, fingers crossed. However, the studio, all the recording equipment is here in the shop, in my office. So, yeah, episode number 2, recording in the shop instead of my house. Here we go. I have a bone to pick. And bone to pick with the Boston Red Sox. I am fuming about this pathetic, absolutely pathetic team right now. They make me want to literally not watch baseball for the rest of the season. And quite frankly, if I do, I probably wouldn't miss much because this team is playing like straight dog ass. And before I go on a mega rant about them, which I won't do just yet. However, there is some Patriots stuff I want to talk about, but I probably will talk about that later on in the episode because Patriots' first preseason game is Thursday, so I kind of want to leave today's episode off kind of with a cliffhanger about Patriots chatter instead of me talking about them early here in the episode and then me just ramble and rant about the Red Sox and how pathetic they've been playing and how pathetic and awful that series was against the Toronto Blue Jays. So I'd rather leave you with more of a Patriots discussion as we exit today's episode before Friday's recording, where I can kind of pick up Friday's episode talking about the preseason game against the Washington football team. So that's kind of my mindset for today's episode on how I'm kind of planning it out. So today, it's going to be Red Sox. It's going to be Patriots. Buckle in, because when we talk about the Patriots, it's a very exciting time. Preseason game number 1 is right on the horizon. Yes, I know it's preseason games and they don't really count, but in a way they do. I will talk about that. Excuse me, I just had dinner. Later on. I know, it's probably disgusting. I'm sorry. But first, I got to ask, how was your weekend? Hopefully you had a fantastic weekend. We're able to enjoy the beautiful weather. And if I got to be honest, the weather was a little scary this weekend. Not because there was, any rain or cold or snow or whatever. Well, I hope no snow, right? But because it felt like fall. It felt a little too much like fall for my taste. Now, I know there's a lot of basic bitches out there that really love pumpkin spice and, the fall weather, flannels and leggings and all that good stuff, which, like what you like, I don't care. But come fall, and as this, as the leaves start to turn and they start to fall from the trees, and you see those pumpkins out there, the jack-o'-lanterns and all that good stuff, we all know that you're going to miss your margarita and tanning on the beach. We all know it. So calm the fuck down in terms of getting excited for fall season. Because listen, I love the fall too. Technically, my birthday's in the fall, being in December. But I love summer. It's my favorite time of the year, my favorite set of months. I'm not ready to leave. This summer's been really iffy and whatever. So let's enjoy the rest of summer for as long as we can before, those that, got to go back to school, before football season really starts. Basketball and hockey is on the horizon in a handful of weeks now. So cool it with the pumpkin spice. Drink your margarita still and tan before you bitch and complain about that. It's too late. Anyways, like I said, hopefully you had a great weekend. Gonna talk about Red Sox, Patriots, and hopefully after that, you'll be able to have a fantastic week. And Thursday's preseason game number 1 for the Patriots. I'm so excited to talk about live Patriot action, honestly, for the first time on this podcast, because if you remember, I didn't start this podcast until January, like mid-January, and obviously the Patriots weren't playing in mid-January because they were fucking 7-9 and they sucked, and they proceeded to bring back that quarterback. Anyways, I'm not going to talk about that right now. I will talk about the Red Sox and how trash they played over this weekend against the Toronto Blue Jays in Toronto, north of the border, and not at the AAA stadium in Buffalo. I do remember sitting here, and I'm pretty sure you remember me sitting here as well, that the Red Sox could not afford to lose this series. after getting swept by the Rays the weekend prior, after losing 2 of 3 to the abysmal, who up and coming, I'll give them respect. They've been in the tank for a few years now, but they're starting to get some young players and play nice. But still, they're really nowhere to be close to being taken serious, the Detroit Tigers. And then you come up on the Toronto Blue Jays. Long road stand, I understand. You Tampa, Detroit, and now Toronto. But come on. This series was crucial. 4 games against the Toronto Blue Jays. And you lose 3 of 4? You were lucky to split the doubleheader. I'll tell you that. You won 2-1. You were lucky to split that doubleheader. But you lose 12-4. It was like a close game for until the middle innings, and then it just got absolutely ballooned. Then you lose 1-0 in the first game. Now, say what you want about the doubleheaders being 7 innings long, how it's more of a JV game, accelerated pace, and all that good stuff. I think it's kind of exciting. I don't want games 7 innings long permanently. However, I have made a case for games to be 8 innings long, which I do think could gain some traction. However, games being 7 innings long for doubleheaders has a little spice to it. And if they get rid of it, I think I hated it at first. In all honesty, I did hate it at first, but I do kind of like it right now. I ain't going to lie. Anyways, you lose the first game with a doubleheader, then you squeak out a win in the second game of the doubleheader, and then you lose 9-8 yesterday in Game 4 of the series. I'm agitated. You are up 8-4 entering the bottom of the 7th inning. 8-4 with a relatively good bullpen, right? I've sat here and said that the bullpen has really improved, really exceeding expectations. I didn't want them to improve the bullpen at the deadline. I was one of the few that said that they shouldn't, because I personally would like to see Chris Sale go in there just for a little bit maybe. He will come back to the rotation Saturday against the Baltimore Orioles. We can talk about that another time. However, the bullpen, which has been a real strong suit for this team, the pitching in general has been glue for this team. In all honesty, this team pitching staff has been glue. Say what you want about Martin Perez, say what you want about Garrett Richards, they all suck, we know. And the bullpen doesn't have the biggest of names, Matt Barnes, Adam Ottavino, okay, I get it. But honestly, without this bullpen, you guys, the Red Sox probably have lost another 5 games. In all honesty, yeah, I would honestly say in at least 5 games if it wasn't for this bullpen, because there's been countless times where the Red Sox offense has sucked and been miserable. I mean, look at, where is it? Look at the 2-1 victory. Pitching staff gets you that 2-1 victory, not your offense scoring 2 runs. And on the other side of the coin, you got to say, oh, the pitching staff has given up 8 runs to Detroit, 12 runs against the Blue Jays, 9 runs against the Blue Jays yesterday. Okay, I will give you that one. I'm not going to win every argument. However, you could also argue that the Red Sox 1-0 loss to the Blue Jays in the first game of the doubleheader on Saturday is a loss due to the lack of offense, because giving up 1 run for a whole pitching staff, though it's 7 games, is still pretty good. Like, I've sat here before earlier in the season, I've said, if you can give up 2, 3, maybe 4 runs every once in a while, you'll win a lot of games, especially with this offense in this lineup. And if you can give up 2, 3, maybe 4 runs, with this pitching staff, I'll take that. Because at the beginning of the season, we had low expectations for this pitching staff. Over-unders for Evaldi and Eduardo Rodriguez was 9 wins. And at the beginning of the season, I had to hit those overs, because if you wanted to be successful, you would have needed them to win at least 9 ball games each. Especially since you didn't have Chris Sale coming back. You really didn't know what you were going to get out of Martin Perez and Garrett Richards, which obviously isn't much. Tanner Houck, was ready, wasn't really ready, so there's that. Oh, man, the Red Sox, though. Oh, my God. They were up 8-4, the bottom of the 7th inning. 8-4. You know what really pisses me off? What really pisses me off is that the decision makers over for the Boston Red Sox, I don't know if it was Alex Cora that filled out the lineup card, true to himself, or if those the nerds in his ears, probably the nerds, right? That it almost felt like Sunday was a getaway game for them in terms of their starting lineup. I mean, you have Hunter Renfroe hitting second. You have Kevin Plawecki hitting sixth, who's in his respect, he has been, playing nicely as of late. But still, Kevin Plawecki hitting sixth, come on. Bobby Dahlbeck hitting seventh. Jonathan Avaruz, eighth, and Duran ninth. Now, that lineup, it is what it is. But having Marwin Gonzalez pinch hit for Bobby Dahlbeck, I don't know what inning it was. It was in the ninth inning. Marwin Gonzalez pinched hit for Bobby Dahlbeck. Now, Dahlbeck yesterday was 2 for 4 going into that potential at-bat with a strikeout. He's been struggling against righties. I get it. But Alex Cora, or whoever, the nerds, the decision makers, whatever, for the Red Sox, decided to pinch hit Marwin Gonzalez for him. Now, Marwin Gonzalez is a switch hitter, so he should be able to hit righties or lefties. And I know Bobby Dahlbeck has been kind of a disappointment this year, only hitting 218, 264 on base percentage, 391 slugging. I get it. Has not performed nearly as good as, MLB, the Red Sox, even us fans expected or wanted him to perform. But 2 for 4 is a pretty good day. It's a nice little day right there. Potentially kind of get the wheels back and turning. And you pull the rug right out of under him. Maybe a little shot to his confidence. He was feeling good, 2 for 4. Let me get on base here. Let me try to do something for my team. Nope. Gets pinched hit. For a guy who's hitting 201, which is 17 points less than him. Granted, he has a 280 on base percentage, which is higher than Bobby Dahlbeck, but a 286 slugging percentage, which is way worse than Bobby Dahlbeck. 286 slugging percentage. That's not an average. That's a good average. That's a slugging percentage. That is pissful. And then, Christian Vasquez pinch hits for Jonathan Avaruz, whatever. Duran goes 2 for 5 with 2 Ks. It is what it is. Whatever. And let's scroll down to the... Where's my mouse? There's my mouse. Let's scroll down to the pitching. Garrett Richards, 5 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, and a home run. Yuck. Yuck. We just demoted Martin Perez to the bullpen, and now Garrett Richards is still sucking. I don't know with this team. Eduardo Rodriguez, Nathan Eovaldi, Nick Pivetta, Tanner Houck, and Chris Sale coming back. Can we please get Garrett Richards out of the rotation as well and not have a 6-man rotation, please? You have Tanner Houck, who's relatively a fresh arm. You don't want to wear and tear Chris Sale, so I understand him not being fresh and such. But there's nothing wrong with having Garrett Richards spot starting every once in a while. Just don't have him start. Period. I mean, I keep hitting my mic. I'm sorry. It's just I'm agitated. I am furiously agitated with this team. Double headers. Have Chris Sale pitch one and Garrett Richards pitch the next one, just so you don't have to wear and tear the rotation or whatever it may be. And then Sawamura gives up 2 earned, 2 walks. Couldn't get out of the inning. Matt Barnes gives up, what was it, 3-run home run, I think it was, in the bottom of the 8th inning. I don't know. It's just, they're in a terrible slump right now. They're 2-8 in their last 10 games. They've fallen to 4 games out of first place. Tampa Bay Rays are 8-2. New York Yankees 8-2. Toronto Blue Jays 8-2 in the last 10 games. You're 2-8. Yankees are only 6.5 games back from first place. Blue Jays only 7 games back. And if you care, the Orioles are 29 games back, but whatever. And it's gotten so bad for the Red Sox. They are now tied. Actually, they're not tied. Actually, if virtue of loss column, the Oakland Athletics are the 1 seed in the wild card. Due to winning percentage and losses, the Oakland Athletics on a 4-game win streak and also are 8-2 in their last 10 games are the 1 seed for the wild card. And you Boston Red Sox are the 2. Yankees 2.5 games back from the wild card. Blue Jays 3 games back, and the Mariners 5.5 games back from the second wild card spot. How the mighty have fallen. Seriously, how the mighty have fallen. Like, every team that I've listed, with the exception of the Baltimore Orioles, went out and improved themselves. Yankees, Blue Jays, Rays, Athletics. Even the Mariners made a move. I don't know how serious that move was. I'd have to go look into it again. But even they made a move. Oh, but you brought in Kyle Schwarber, who's injured. And we are now officially 10 days past the trade deadline, 11 days past the trade deadline. I don't know. And if you want to look, 10 games since the deadline or, around the deadline, whatever, 2-8. This team that was overachieving for 3 months, that was very likable. People wanted to watch them. You got great performances from, a good chunk of, your starting pitchers. And you had some good starts and some great starts along with some bad starts, in between. And your lineup was performing very well. Very, very well. But now you look like a mediocre team on the brink of falling out of the playoff picture, missing October again. After missing in 2019, COVID short in 2020, which we all know you were packing your bags and trying to get a draft pick, which, got a nice one this year, Marcelo Meyer. And now this year, give me some consistency. And I'm not going to put it all on the players. I don't even know if the coaching staff should, be taking a brunt of this. I think it's management. Chaim Bloom, John Henry, not going out and making the big move. Now, you didn't have to go out and get Chris Bryant. You didn't have to go out and get Javier Baez. I would say that almost everybody in Boston wanted Anthony Rizzo. And the Yankees, of all teams, pick him up. Like, you didn't need to make the Max Scherzer trade. I know it was rumored and reported. Yeah, it would have been great. You kick Richards out. You have Sale, Scherzer, Evaldi when he's pitching good, Rodriguez when he's pitching good. Nick Pavetta's been really solid all year. That's a really good, almost said lineup, pretty good starting rotation right there, especially come October when it's a 4-man rotation. Didn't pull the trigger. Didn't want to give up the prospect haul that the Dodgers gave up, which I do not blame you. That was a massive haul, and I think it's going to work out great for both teams, especially in a couple years for the Nationals. And honestly, it's probably going to work out for the Dodgers because they have a strong shot at winning the World Series. Giants look really tough in that National League West, but as the season goes on, I keep thinking the Giants are going to fall off, but they're 4 games in first place now. Their lead is getting bigger. But you sat on your hands. You got a Hansel Robles. You got Kyle Schwarber. And you traded Michael Chavis. The Michael Chavis trade is what it is. I'm not going to, say that was a good trade or a bad trade. You had to open up a roster spot. I get it. But what an absolute debacle this team has turned into in a mere 10, 11 days. Come the July 30th trade deadline, it was evident that this team was struggling. They needed help. They needed a boost. The dog days of August were coming up. That's usually when playoff teams, playoff contenders, playoff hopeful teams go out, get a boost. Bring in someone who can, give it a little resurgence, whether it's on the field or in the locker room. The Mets did it, Javier Baez. Giants did it, Chris Bryant. Yankees did it. Anthony Rizzo, Joey Gallo. The Tampa Bay Rays did. Nelson Cruz. Toronto Blue Jays did. Jose Barrios. But the Red Sox, nothing. Absolutely nothing. They brought in Kyle Schwarber, who's, really good season so far. A little dinged up, being on the IL. But you want him to go play first base, which he's never played since what college it was? Or, low A ball. That's your boost. That's your resurgence. A guy who's on the IL when you needed it now. All of these teams that made moves across Major League Baseball have had impacts from all the players they've acquired in one way or another. I'd probably say, obviously the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Rays with Nelson Cruz, yup. The White Sox, getting a big move themselves. Scherzer and Trey Turner with the Dodgers, Bryant with the Giants. I'm just trying to look. The Brewers, who did the Brewers bring in? I know Willie Adames earlier in the season. I can't think of who else they brought in. They brought in someone else. Braves made moves. Like I said, the Mets made moves. The Phillies now in first place. They brought in Kyle Gibson. All of the players. It was a massive trade deadline, too. It's not like it was quiet and there was like 2 or 3 moves made. It was a massive trade deadline, a legitimate trade deadline where you saw players going from one team to another several times. The week before, a few days before, and even on the day of the deadline. And all these playoff hopeful contending teams have had impacts from all of their new guys. Except you. Except you, the Boston Red Sox. Why? Now, I don't want you to go out there, trade Duran, trade Cassis, but you could have went out there. I honestly think bringing in Anthony Rizzo would have been the right move. Now, would you be 9-1 in your last 10 games, crushing the ball, pitching well? No, I'm not going to guarantee that. But you'd feel a little bit better. You'd feel good about that move. You'd feel a little bit better like, okay, we're in a slump. We got a bunch of good players with experience. Our defense significantly improved with Rizzo. Another lefty bat. Leadership in the locker room. You feel good about all that. But no, you don't get any of that. You get none of that. And it's biting the Red Sox in the ass. And I honestly think, Xander Bogaerts, Devers, JD Martinez, I don't think they're responding well to it. Your big 3 players, your best players in your lineup, you should be able to trust them day in and day out, but they go through slumps. Every pro player goes through slumps, no matter what sport it is. They're going to have a great 10 games. They're going to have a bad 15 games. It happens. That's why you bolster your team to brace for that and to prepare for that. The Red Sox, knock on wood, have been fortunate to not suffer any major injuries to their opening day roster. Their only major injury this entire year to their team has been Chris Sale recovering from Tommy John surgery, which he had last year. You've been fortunate. A lot of playoff teams, playoff hopeful, playoff contending teams suffer through injuries. Look at the Yankees. I feel like the Yankees, year in and year out, have like 40 guys make an appearance on the IL. And they're still competitive year in and year out. Whether, they're 6.5 games in first place, 9 games at, the worst time. I think they might have spent a little bit of time in first place at the beginning of the season. But no, they went out and made moves to better themselves, to give them a better chance to get a wild card spot or, in a perfect world, win the division. You didn't brace for that. What if, knock on wood, Xander Bogaerts or Rafael Devers rolls an ankle or, sprains a muscle, sprains a ligament? What are you going to do? You going to have Jonathan Arauz play shortstop every day? You going to bring up Tristan Cassis a little too early and have him play third base every day? No, you're porked. You're absolutely hosed. And I keep saying, Anthony Rizzo, but, he's just the perfect example in this situation. Put in any first baseman you acquire, any true first baseman you acquire at the trade deadline. But, in my scenario, I'm just going to say Anthony Rizzo. Have Anthony Rizzo at first base, you can have Bobby Dahlbeck play third base. His natural position. Bobby Dahlbeck, if those that don't know, he's a natural third baseman learning first base. He has been because Rafael Devers is over at the hot corner, hopefully for over a decade longer. And if anything happens to him, at least you have a nice security blanket where you can slide Bobby Dahlbeck over and have, Rizzo be your everyday first baseman instead of him and Dahlbeck splitting time. What happens to, God forbid anything happens to Xander Bogaerts? Who's your shortstop? Not that Anthony Rizzo is going to play shortstop, but I mean, seriously, who? Marwin Gonzalez? Your 240 leadoff hitter, Kike Hernandez? Jonathan Arauz? Bring up Hudson Potts early. See what you got in him. Jeter Downs? But he's probably going to be a future second baseman. So, you don't want to bring up a prospect too early. It could hurt. It could damage them. It could be, beneficial to, get some MLB time, maybe struggle a little bit or succeed and then go back down to the minors or stay up. I don't know. But the Red Sox are so fortunate and so lucky to be this healthy for this long in the season that if anything was to happen to any of their, big players, Bogaerts, Devers, Martinez, Vasquez, Verdugo, even Eovaldi or Rodriguez at this point, you're done. I mean, Hunter Renfroe's been playing pretty good, having a really good season his first year with the Sox. So if you want to throw him in there, go ahead. You're done. All you had to do was bolster the team. And bringing in Kyle Schwarber, maybe when he's healthy, maybe, September when he's healthy, sure. But we don't know that. We won't know that. Not until he plays. But you do know that every team that made a move to bolster their roster has had an impact from their new respective players and have made impacts for the now. For the now. Athletics 8-2 in their last 10 games. White Sox 6-4. Blue Jays 8-2. Yankees 8-2. Rays 8-2. Phillies 8-2. Brewers 6-4. Giants 7-3. Dodgers 6-4. The only one I didn't name is the New York Mets, who brought in Javier Baez. They're unfortunately 2-8 in their last 10 games. But however, the New York Mets are the New York Mets, and we don't really care about them. Even the Reds 8-2 in the last 10 games. Creeping up on the Brewers in the National League Central. Only 5 games out now. I think it was 9 games at one point. 8 games? I don't remember. Anyways, you see my point. I've screamed about the Red Sox for over 20 minutes, if it's something like that. I'm done talking about them. I will give you, just kind of keep you up to date. You got the Rays tomorrow, first pitch, 7:10. Wednesday, 7:10. And Thursday, the 12th, at 4:10 p.m. first pitch. Big, crucial, massive series against the Tampa Bay Rays. Then you got 3 against the Orioles. All 6 of those games are at Fenway. And then you go to New York for a quick 3-game series against the Yankees. And then I'm not going to talk about, the series after that because I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I believe I said that the Red Sox, 7 games, 4 against the Blue Jays, 3 against the Rays, 5-2. You can kiss that one goodbye. You got to win 2 or 3. You have to gain something on the Rays in the standings because if you don't, well, you can say goodbye to probably first place. You can maybe even say goodbye to second place in the division, quite frankly. 4 games out right now, the Red Sox are from first place. You win 2 or 3, you get to 3 games. Doable. 4 games is even doable. Perfect world, you sweep. Now you're 1 game back. Then you got a nice little layup with the Orioles, or should be a layup with the Orioles. You thought the Tigers were going to be a layup, but they weren't because you lost 2 or 3 to them. So these next 6 games, 3 against the Rays, 3 against the Orioles, I don't want to consider the Yankee series because I don't want to get too far, middle of next week. I'm trying to look at short picture right now. The Red Sox are just really struggling. You really got to, turn this thing around ASAP. So I'm only going to look at the next 6 games, rest of this week, and weekend series against the Rays and Orioles. You got to go 5-1, 4-2. I mean, there's really no excuse not to sweep the Orioles. So that's 3 right there. And I was saying you need to win at least 2 or 3 against the Rays. That's 5 right there. That's 5-1. I'd say 5-1. Otherwise, this season, you might just need to crinkle it up and throw it away. But, folks, that's just my thoughts, my opinions, and what I'm blabbing about the Boston Red Sox. I want to hear your thoughts about the Red Sox, whether it's reaching out to me on social media at Murphs_BostonST, where the ST stands for Sports Talk, or if you're listening to this on YouTube at Murphs Boston Sports Talk. Comment down below. Let me hear what you have to say about anything and everything Boston Red Sox right now, really after their 4-game terrible 4-game series against the Toronto Blue Jays, where they lost 3 of 4. And honestly, they easily could have lost all 4 of them. And honestly, they probably could have won all 4 of them as well. Anyways, that's it. That's going to be it for the Boston Red Sox chatter. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm done. I'm not talking about them anymore. I do want to talk some Patriots football, which I alluded to at the beginning of the episode, with the Hall of Fame induction. What was it, yesterday it was? Or the day before? Was it yesterday? I think it was the day before. Whenever it was. There was a question presented to Bill Belichick today during his press conference about, I think, Peyton Manning being enshrined in the Hall of Fame. Or was it Matthew Slater? Whatever. I want to play a snippet of that, because I really think what he had to say was interesting, and it raises the question. And I will present this question to you after I let you listen to this answer from Bill Belichick.
Trip to Canton over the weekend. What was it like to be there for that?
Oh, it's good to be in Canton. Yeah, it's a great spot. A lot of history there. It's great to see the players. Unfortunately, we lost a few here in the last year, 2 years.
Unfortunately, we lost a few here over the past year or 2. I wonder what he's referring to. Now, I have my guess, my speculation, my assumption, my thoughts. But before I give you what I think or how I interpretate that quote from Bill Belichick, pause this, this episode. I'll pause it for you right now. And while it's paused, I want you to think to yourself, tweet at me, Instagram DM me, comment down below on YouTube what you think that meant. How do you interpret, unfortunately we lost a few over the past year or 2 in regards to Hall of Famers. So take this time now, think to yourself, tweet, DM, comment, whatever, what you think he meant. You want to know what I think? How I interpret that? The loss of Thomas Brady. He knows he fucked up. He knows it. Not just because Tom Brady won his 7th Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No. Because of the current quarterback situation he has now with Cam Newton. Yes, okay, hold on. First of all, losing Tom Brady and him having regular season success in a deep playoff run alone is probably enough, especially with the season that you had, is enough to really regret that decision. Then he goes on to win the Super Bowl in his home stadium, Raymond James Stadium down in Tampa. Plus you went 7-9 with Cam Newton. Ugh. Listen, I don't think Bill Belichick, or really any critics, maybe even us Patriot fans, would be regretting Bill Belichick for moving on from Tom Brady if we had a decent season last year. whether it was with Cam or with Jarrett Stidham. I think if it was with Jarrett Stidham, I think it'd be a little bit more positive outlook. Say the Patriots go 9-7, 10-6, brink of the playoffs. Maybe even they make it to the playoffs as a wild card. Lose first round, it is what it is. But at least with a young Jarrett Stidham, you got something. You might have something with Jarrett Stidham. 9-7, 10-6, positive record. No, you didn't win the division, but you were able to sneak into the wild card. And you were able to at least get into the dance and maybe make a miracle push at the Super Bowl. You know, Jacoby Myers had a nice season. Your offensive line looked really good. It did improve this offseason, but, it was solid last year. Defense really underperformed, had its moments, but you saw some growth from Kyle Duggar, Chase Winovich, J.C. Jackson. So at least you have something there to kind of munch on and look back and say, it could have been worse. We're not rebuilding, but we're retooling. I guess you could kind of say rebuilding, sure. But at least the bottom didn't fall out. And although you went 7-9 last year, the bottom kind of fell out last year. Cam Newton, terrible play. James White, underutilized. Terrible season. Julian Edelman, injured. N'Keal Harry, I don't even know what to say about him. Defense was pissful. Like I said, did have its moments at times. Overall, it just wasn't really good. Missed the playoffs for the first time since 2008, although you only missed it via a tiebreaker because Tom Brady tore his ACL in Game 1 of that year. And you went 11-5 with Matt Castle, which was a really good season. And if Tom Brady, say he wasn't going to return for the 2009 season or whatever, at least you can go into that offseason feeling good about Matt Castle, right? Nothing to really go feel good about going into this offseason except the 15th overall pick and you flirting with drafting a quarterback. But hey, if you had Jarrett Stidham and he played well, then maybe you wouldn't even need to have wasted the 15th pick on Mac Jones. I don't want to say wasted, but used the 15th pick on Mac Jones. Could have used it on defensive help. Maybe move up and draft Devontae Smith or whatever to give you a wide receiver. It's just, with the season, how it went last year, there was really nothing good to look forward to. You watch the playoffs, you watch Brady win the Super Bowl, and then there's the off season. Yeah, you made a boatload of moves. And honestly, those moves probably would have happened regardless if you went 7-9, 8-8, 9-7, or even 10-6 last year. Probably would have happened. Because there was a lot of holes to fill, a lot of money to spend. And then you get a lot of buzz when you draft Mac Jones. A lot of buzz when you draft Mac Jones. And now it's Mac versus Cam. There's some buzz there, although he keeps shooting down that it's going to be Cam, which I don't know freaking why. Anyways, I'm digressing. The purpose of the point here is Belichick knows and regrets letting Brady go. He knows it. How can you tell me that he doesn't regret messing up? Seriously. He knows he let the greatest quarterback, the greatest football player, and arguably the greatest athlete in all of sports in all time go away, walk in free agency. All you had to do was just pay him. You freaking paid Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Matthew Judon, Jalen Mills, everybody under the sun, anybody that's put on pads before, you paid market price. And you don't do that. Oh, by the way, you're going to let Stephon Gilmore and J.C. Jackson walk at the end of the season. I already know, Bill. I already know. You'd probably pay Stephon Gilmore a long-term contract before you pay J.C. Jackson. Although it might be a couple million off maybe, or even the same, because you don't pay your homegrown guys. And over the years, Tom Brady did take less, so you could put more towards the team. I get that. But at the end of the day, although it was not a rookie, a player coming off a rookie contract, you didn't pay your homegrown guy in Tom Brady. And you had to live the 2020 season with Cam freaking Newton. And potentially the 2021, God, please, no, not the 21 season with Cam Newton. But be in this weird age of limbo because you don't know who your quarterback is this year or moving forward. And you felt the pressure to draft Mac Jones. Maybe you didn't want to, maybe you did, but you felt the pressure to. Or at least draft a quarterback. I mean, say Justin Fields and Mac Jones is on the board and, come the 15th pick. You felt the pressure to take one of them. And you were probably praying that Mac Jones was taken before 15, so there was no pressure to take a quarterback. Because then you could have took Kellen Mond or Davis Mills in the second round, and, there's no pressure with the second-round pick, or at least from Bill Belichick's perspective. Because I think when N'Keal Harry was drafted a couple seasons ago, he felt the pressure to give Tom Brady a weapon, and he failed drastically at even doing that. So, yes, Bill Belichick knows that he let Tom Brady walk away. And it was a massive mistake. Wasn't it? Come on. Reach out to me social media. Comment down in the YouTube section below. Comment down in the comment section below on YouTube if you agree with me. I'll play the cut again. Hold on.
Great to see the players. Unfortunately, we lost a few here in the last year, 2 years.
He corrects himself in the last year, 2 years. When did Tom Brady say he was going to leave the Patriots? March of 2020, I think it was, before kind of COVID really hit, which is 16 months or so ago. And a year is only 12 months. So do some math. It's been a full year, over a full year, since Tom Brady has left the New England Patriots. And he said a year. No, 2 years. It's true. It's facts. You can't tell me it's not. You can't tell me it's not. To hear him finally admit it brings a little bit of peace to mind, I guess. Because he was so hell-bent about how it was the best decision for the team, how, moving on from Tom Brady is a hard decision, but it's one for the, best team. Oh, all that garbage PR stuff, right? But to him finally admit it, indirectly admit it. He did not say that, we let Tom Brady go and it was the worst mistake of my entire coaching career. He didn't say that. But he indirectly said, yeah, letting Tom Brady go, future Hall of Famer, wasn't my best move. So that's what I really found most interesting out of this whole press conference from Bill Belichick earlier today. I was listening to, I think I got to half of it before I started recording. I didn't really find anything else that, piqued my interest. A lot of, the typical Bill Belichick. Oh, well, we're playing, the Washington football team this week. It'll be a good time for us to really show out and see what we can do. Every day we're just trying to get better, playing a good opponent, working hard every day, trying to improve, all the typical bullshit he says, right? But he says that comment, and that really piques my interest. Not because I'm pissed that he let Tom Brady walk, not because he replaced him with a washed-up Cam Newton, but because he knows he messed up. And he feels the pressure. That's why he probably spent all that money. Now, I don't know if that's for sure, why he spent all that much money. I think he would have done so anyways. But I definitely feel like there was a little bit of pressure him to bring in all these guys. And we're just going to have to wait and see what the 2021 Patriots look like. Because Bill Belichick needs to have a bounce-back season. If he misses the playoffs, if he doesn't win a playoff game this year, the Tom versus Bill conversation, who's better? It's over. It's Tom. It has to be Tom. I mean, look at Bill Belichick when he was the coach of the Browns in the 90s. Wasn't that good. And he comes here his first year in 2000. Also wasn't that good. And I'm not going to give Tom Brady all of the credit. I definitely do think that, the players around him at the time, the defense at the time, Probably Bill Belichick's coaching skills at the time as well really helped propel Brady to stardom. And, I'm a true firm believer that it was mainly both of them that were, both of them were responsible. You look at the 2008 season when Tom Brady tore his ACL, you go 11-5 with Matt Castle, missed the playoffs by virtue of a tie. Pretty solid season with Matt Castle, who was a backup rookie at the time. Well, he wasn't a rookie, but he was, rookie contract backup at the time. You go 3-1 with Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett during Brady's 4-game suspension, I believe. 3-1. Yeah, because you were 3-0 and you lost that game to Buffalo, which was horseshit. But anyways, but then you look at Brady goes to Tampa Bay, wins the Super Bowl. So this is a big year. It's a big year for Tom Brady too. I mean, he's 44 years old. What left does he have in the tank? And Bill Belichick, he needs to make the playoffs and win at least a game to not completely lose it. Because if he doesn't make the playoffs, period, it might as well be over for him. That's kind of harsh, but I think it's kind of true. Anyways, almost been 46 minutes or so at this point. And I've just been kind of talking, I talked down about the Red Sox. I kind of talked down about, Bill Belichick. So I kind of want to lift the spirits up here, talk about some good stuff, right? I said I'm going to leave this episode, cliffhanging Patriots and kind of, bookmarking a conversation about the Patriots, especially with their preseason game number uno coming up against the Washington football team, which I don't think they should change that name. I think they should just keep it. It's cool. It's different. It's got a little spice to it instead of just like, a mascot, whatever. The Cleveland Guardians. Anyways, three things. 1, 2, 3. I'm looking forward to for this preseason game number 1. Now, with only 3 preseason games coming up, kind of have to gauge it a little bit different. Usually the first game is you get people back on their feet. Some, your starters may not play because it's just the first game. You don't want to rush them back, try and take things slow. Injured players, you probably want to see, some of these fringe players really play in the first preseason game. The second one, things kind of ramp up a little bit. Third preseason game is as close to a regular season game as you're going to get, where the starters play 2.5 quarters, maybe even 3 full quarters of the game. And then the fourth one is probably just a minor tune-up, maybe for players that miss some time in the preseason, maybe a week or two. Fringe players trying to find their role, make the roster. Bunch of guys just so you can sit your starters and kind of have a bye week for them in between the preseason and the regular season. So with only 3 games for the preseason this year, it's going to be really interesting to see how that works. So I kind of feel like the mindset for the first preseason game in a 3-week or a 4-week, format is going to be the same. Kind of just like, introduction, kind of get your feet under you. I think that's going to be the same. And I think week 2 is going to be more so like week 3 of the old format where your starters play a lot. And then the week 3 is going to be more so like the week 4 where you kind of give your starters a bye week, maybe have some final touches, maybe like a quarter or a quarter and a half for your starters. And then you sit them, kind of give them as much rest as you possibly can, kind of figure out the fringe players that are going to be on or off the roster, and just kind of go from there, really. So 3 things. 1, 2, 3 that I'm looking forward to from preseason game number 1. I want to see the offense. Now, I know that's kind of very broad, and you kind of have to leave it broad, right? Because you really don't know what to expect. You don't know who's going to play well or who's going to disappoint, what it's going to look like, Cam versus Mac. You just don't really know. So I want to see how the offense looks, how Nelson Aguilar or Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, how the offense looks. There's no Julian Edelman anymore. How the tight ends, I know Hunter Henry's going to miss some time because of an injury, but Jonnu Smith, how is the offense going to look? Is it going to be up-tempo? Is it going to be slowed down? Is it going to be run-heavy? Is it going to be pass-heavy? Play action? These are all things that I'm really looking forward to. And a lot of these things I don't know. I honestly don't know. Is it going to be different between Cam and Mac? Is it going to be different between the second string the starters, if the starters even play. How about the third string guys? Is Gunnar Olszewski going to get some time at wide receiver, or is he just going to kind of be a return specialist? N'Keal Harry, what is he going to look like? He's been getting a lot of great, rapport and a lot of great takes from a lot of analysts that he's really taken a step up this year. He barbarically asked for a trade with no leverage, and he's kind of living up to that hype of, being a former first-round draft pick out of Arizona State. So what is he going to look like? The running backs even. So just the whole offense as a collective group, I'm really interested in seeing how they perform, specifically under the two quarterbacks. And that leads me to my second point. Second thing I'm looking forward to in this game is Mac Jones versus Cam Newton. Now, t-shirt and shorts is one thing. Padded practice is a whole nother thing. But in real life game reps is catastrophically different. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Mac Jones should get the first string reps, that he will get the first string reps. It's going to be Cam Newton. We all know it. But how much time do they split? Do they, do a drive each? Do they do 2 drives each? Does Mac Jones even get to see, playing time with the starters? How is Cam Newton going to throw the ball? How is he going to run the offense? What is Mac Jones going to look like when he runs the offense? When he's under center? How he play calls? These are all things that I am immensely looking forward to out of those two. If Mac Jones really shows out, say he goes 11 for 13, 2 touchdowns, 150 yards, and Cam Newton goes 6 for 17 with 60 yards and a pick, yikes. Now, if it was the other way around where Cam Newton shows out and Mac Jones flops, then you can only imagine, how Foxborough is going to take that and how New England's going to react to that. Not just Bill Belichick, who wants Cam, but everybody that wants Mac Jones. It's, the quarterback, for once there was no quarterback battle with Brady. There was really no quarterback battle with Drew Bledsoe. I couldn't even tell you the last time there was a true quarterback battle. Maybe before Drew Bledsoe? I don't even know. I don't think there was one with Steve Grogan, maybe when he first took over. I just, that kind of predates my Patriots intellect. However, you hear quarterback battles all the time across the league. Russell Wilson, when he first got into the league, there was no quarterback battle for Patrick Mahomes. It was Alex Smith, his Mahomes' rookie year, and then the second year for Mahomes, it was, he was the guy. RG3 versus Kirk Cousins, there wasn't really a quarterback battle there. Andrew Luck, when he first got into the league, there wasn't. Tua, there wasn't. But you've seen quarterback battles. Why can't I think of any others? I'm sure the Jets have had tons of them. The Bills have had them before Josh Allen came in. The Bengals, when they had Andy Dalton. I don't even know. Whatever. You know about them, right? It's maybe not so much prevalent I don't want to say anymore because it's still a thing, right? But I just feel like teams kind of lock and load their starting quarterback before training camp. Mahomes, Allen, Wilson, Kyler Murray. I guess there was a question mark with Aaron Rodgers, but now he's back. He is the starting quarterback. There's no and ifs or buts. I guess you could say Washington with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Taylor Heineke, maybe, but that's probably Fitzpatrick's job. So, yeah, I can't really think of actually any true quarterback battles in the league right now. Rams have Matthew Stafford. Lions have Goff. Colts had Wentz. Now they have Jacob Eason. Maybe there's a quarterback battle there because maybe he's not ready. Who knows? So this might be, Mac versus Cam might be the only, or at least the most intriguing and interesting quarterback battle in all of the league. So my third point or key to the game, they're not really keys to the game. They're more just like things I'm looking for, I guess. So let me scratch that. 3 things I'm looking forward. 1, the offense. 2, Mac versus Cam. And number 3, the secondary or the defense. I've heard a lot of great things about the front 7, the front 4 at least, and how they're really gelling. Christian Barmore is really performing very nicely. Nice to have Dante Hightower back. Chase Winovich is kind of being a little Swiss Army knife in the front seven, middle, outside backer, edge, nose. But what about the secondary? We hear a lot of great things about the secondary. It's nice to have Stephon Gilmore. Still kind of have to pay him. J.C. Jackson, what is he going to look like? Is he really going to kind of, stay at that elite level he was at last year? Is he going to take a step back? Is he going to take a step forward? No Jason McCourty. Devin McCourty is the only McCourty there. Jonathan Jones is still your slot cornerback. Kyle Duggar, how has he progressed? I'm hearing a lot of great things about him. So is he going to elevate and take that next step? No Patrick Chung. So like I mentioned last time, if you don't bring back one of, if not both, Stephon Gilmore and J.C. Jackson, your secondary is so porked next year because, there's rumors, and I mentioned this on Friday, there's rumors that Joejuan Williams could be a fringe player, and I don't think he should be because, outside of Gilmore, and I think Jonathan Jones, because I think Joejuan Williams and J.C. Jackson came onto the team together. So what's the point in cutting Joejuan Williams? So I'm interested to see how he plays. Can he be a legitimate third cornerback for you? If Gilmore, say, he holds out or misses time due to an injury, J.C. Jackson, say, God forbid he gets injured, you're going to need that third cornerback to kind of fill in, whether it's, subbing in and out on defense in games or just giving the starters a break during the preseason. So I'm really interested to see how the secondary as a whole, not just the cornerback group, but as a whole, the secondary really performs. But those are just what I'm looking forward to, what I'm really specifically going to be watching for during the Patriots preseason game number 1 against the Washington football team. When does it kick off? Probably like 7, I'm assuming. Patriots schedule. I'm assuming 7:30 in Foxborough. So get excited. I'm excited. Can't wait to have a Patriots football back. It is an exciting time. It's kind of murky waters because you just had such a security net, Tom Brady being the quarterback. But now you have a true quarterback battle. The offense is really revamped. The defense is not rebuilt, but it's retooled with guys coming back from COVID, drafting and bringing in guys. So it's an exciting time. Like I said, uncharted waters for the Patriots, but a lot of signs are pointing up and for the better. Hopefully, when the season comes, the regular season comes, they can perform as they should. With all that being said, let me know in the comment section down below if you're watching on YouTube, or reach out to me at Murphs_BostonST, where the ST stands for Sports Talk, on social media with your thoughts about the Patriots, about what you're looking for, or even backtracking earlier in the episode about the Boston Red Sox. But that is going to do it for me today on episode 79 of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and enjoying, which I really hope that you do and love. You can find me, Murph's Boston Sports Talk, on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, and other audio-only platforms. Basically, anywhere you get your podcasts, you can find the show. And you can also find the show on YouTube as well. Type in Murph's Boston Sports Talk, and every single episode from the podcast is there, along with other quirky things, vlogs, quizzes, MLB The Show 21 gameplay, etc., etc. So, speaking of YouTube, please like the video if you enjoyed today's episode. Comment down below like I've already mentioned. And if you're new or haven't considered subscribing yet, please subscribe to the channel, as I would greatly appreciate that. Folks, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, all over the world, whoever may be listening, thank you so much for downloading, listening, and joining. I will catch you for episode number 80, big 80 for Friday, when I break down the Patriots' first preseason game against the Washington football team. And also, we're going to be breaking down the Boston Red Sox and how they perform over their series against the Rays. And was it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? So we'll be previewing their series against the Orioles as well. But folks, that's going to do it. Thank you so much. I will catch you in the next one. But between now and then, you know that I love you. You know that I will always see you.